So here we are again in another episode of Modern Revenue Architects with Kim Anzarut, who is the owner and founder of LA Consulting. She's going to be talking about a lot of flower topics. And with that, I'll ask you, Kim, if you can introduce yourself and explain what do you do, a little bit of the challenges in the industry, and I'll ask you a couple of things after where you think everything is going.
Yeah, so LA Consulting is a cannabis compliance consulting firm. We deal with operational compliance. So mainly what we help companies with is becoming compliant with the state regulations, and then also with the FDA regulations and OSHA. And I know that sounds a little weird because it's not federally legal, but there are existing regulations that deal with quality of product and safety of product. And also, worker safety is a really big deal as well. So we have been in business since 2017, which is awesome. It's a pretty good stretch for a cannabis company because there aren't that many of us and it hasn't been around that long. But I started in the industry as the first regulator in the nation for a major metropolitan public health authority. And that was in Denver, Colorado back in 2014. So it's been a real journey from then to now. It's very different. So.
Wow. And I've read a couple, I'm not an expert by any means, but obviously that's something that sounds in the media and things like that. So there's companies opening and closing and opening and closing. It's not an easy environment to be at, to be honest, based on the things that you also shared off record, offline. Maybe some examples, writing off and things like that for taxes. What are the things that you have accomplished, and if you would do this again as you are right now?
Well, I definitely would, because I really love my job and my industry. I urge everyone to own a business at some point in their life. But it does come with its challenges, for sure. A really great example is just a couple of weeks ago, I lost my workers' compensation insurance because they found out that I'm a cannabis company or work with cannabis companies, and I'm even in an ancillary company. So it's really crazy. A company that we've been with for over 8 years, deciding, oh, you have hot leaves on your website, we're getting rid of you. So that happens a lot, and it really is hard to manage because there's a lot of bias against the industry. On top of that, we can't market the same way. We can't get billboards a lot of times. You can't, depending on what state you're in. Instagram will kick you off. Most social media platforms, LinkedIn is actually a lot better than, many of the others. And then on top of that, banking is very hard. It's expensive to get banking because you have to go through, a smaller bank that's statewide. And it usually costs a lot of money to even just have one checking account open for them because they have to have a lot of financial compliances behind the scenes. And 280E tax law, right? Which I feel like when I talk to people outside of the industry, that's like the most shocking thing they're like, oh my gosh, what? But cannabis companies can't write anything off in their company, right? So, which including payroll, really anything. So it's really, really hard from like a money standpoint to run a very profitable cannabis company. And I think that people outside the industry don't understand that. They just see all the dispensaries everywhere and they think, oh, they're making money hand over fist. But they're competing with a lot of people in a lot of states. There's a lot of competition. And they're also competing with, the hemp industry a little bit, which, that is starting to get kind of ironed out, however they're going to do that. But it is really hard to be a compliant and also profitable cannabis company nowadays, just because, we thought, or at least I thought maybe it'll become legal or maybe, and it just like never has. They haven't passed any banking bills to make it easier. They haven't done any of that yet. So it's really, really hard for people to, keep their businesses going nowadays.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a lot of ignorance with this things happening. Like, I'm sorry that you lost your compensation insurance thing. Like, that's just ignorance. People don't know why you have a company like this, and it could be probably making it's just making lives better for Americans, because they need to have this. There's medical um, um, objectives for the cannabis. Like, why do they make that decision based on their own biases? That doesn't make sense. And everything else. So it seems on the inside, based on what you're saying, everything is it is in the infancy. The audience, the providers, they need to be educated on this and on the regulations, and need to be more mature to be able to serve the industry better and the consumers of the flower as well. Because, like, a lot of people, mental health after COVID, there was like a lot of people suffering from mental health, and like I've personally experienced people telling me that the only comfort that they have is the prescription with oils and things like that, because that's what makes them thrive and not be anxious. And anxiety is a big thing right now. So that they don't know any better, and I think they need to be educated, and that's part of what we're doing today.
Yeah, most definitely. And our company literally exists to like make sure that products are safe, right? And it's like we're not selling the cannabis, even if you are, it really shouldn't matter. I really can't wait for the day when our industry is treated the same as every other industry. And I know it's going to be really hard for a lot of companies, because it'll be a lot more compliance and a lot more complicated. But when federal legalization comes around, or descheduling, or however they work it, being able to bank and being able to write things up, I mean, it's going to change the way the industry works, and it'll be so much for the better. So I'm excited to see it from infancy to that point. I'm really excited to see what the future holds for it.
Because you started at the infancy, right? So you started when it all started.
Yeah. I mean, there were medical places in Colorado that had existed for quite some time, several years, many of them, before they were actually regulated by the health department. So it was really Wild West. Like I'd go and knock on their door, and they were like, "Who are you?" Like, what is happening? Because they weren't used to seeing regulators. So, going from that to now, where I'm a consultant that gets to do audits and, walk around, and they're like excited to have me there, and they're ready to be compliant. They're excited to do the right thing. I mean, that's a huge change, and it's really great to see.
Yeah, that makes sense. So when it comes to where everything is going and what's happening with AI and all those things, there's many shifts. There's transformations with technology, and the industry is super it's just very new. So what are you guys doing in terms of AI? Are you adopting anything in regards like appointment setters or outreach, or maybe educating the users that are calling with AI? What's happening? Do you guys know for dispensaries themselves what's happening on the industry with AI?
Yeah, I think that most of the stuff that they're doing is, grow technology, right? Keeping an eye on plants, or, being alerted if there's security issues and things like that. And in our company and in a lot of different companies, the AI, note takers and things. I know that sounds like very, but it's really great, because we keep track of everything we've said to clients, all of our reports, all of our, everything that we do, we keep track of in like a separate file, so that if somebody gets sick, right, or has to go on maternity leave, or breaks their, breaks their leg, which we've had happen, another consultant in my firm can show up and just be like, oh, bam, this is what we're going to do. You know what I mean? And we know exactly what was said and exactly what the last thing they were working on, so that we can pick up without missing a beat. And now with AI and things like that, every single time we talk to somebody, we're on that note taker, and we can just take that and put it into that file. It saves us a lot of time. And also, we're not so distracted, right? During meetings, sitting here and writing every little thing down. It's so much easier just to have the note takers take those notes for us. And then we never forget what we said or forget what was said by them. And we can always look back and refresh. So I don't know. I feel like that kind of thing. I know that's like the very simple use, but right now AI isn't quite good enough to get, I don't know, really, really specific on the things, some of the things that we do. I think it'll happen eventually. I hope we're part of the process of inventing something that can help people with that, but it's not right all the time when it comes to facts, unfortunately. But those kinds of, the note takers and things like that, it is really nice to have. So that's what we're really implementing.
Yeah, makes sense. That's great. For what do you think is going to happen when you guys are like any other business? Are you think are going to be able to market like ads and everything like that? Of course, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, right now is a great time to buy a cannabis business, honestly, because it's like right before, what most people think is going to happen, right? Trump has even talked about it a few times. Maybe we just legalize it. And, I know he's a loose cannon, so we're not really sure. But that was a huge platform of Kamala Harris as well. And I feel like, on both sides, it's kind of a bipartisan issue. And our economy isn't doing very well. So making it legal, right, like very soon is a really great idea, right? It will help add jobs to the economy and I'm sure states will be able to opt out of it. So some of the more conservative states that, don't want anything or don't want a program doesn't necessarily have to have it. But the ones that do have it will be able to do things like sell to other states and sell internationally and that kind of thing. And also, write things off and be able to advertise and, all of those things. So, yes, it's only going to get better. It's only going to get bigger. And it's just a matter of time. But right now, I feel like we're in this like weird limbo where the economy is kind of like dropping off in the normal world, not just in the cannabis world. And so people are struggling right now a little bit. I feel like it's the calm before the storm kind of thing. So at least we're hoping for sure.
Yeah, because when everything gets stable or like it looks like any other industry, there's a lot of people that are going to be jumping in or everything is going to be more expensive, more competition, whatever. Right now, because the industry has a lot of blockers or regulations or things, like people might be thinking 4 times to, hey, might not be a good idea. And maybe later when it comes to the blockers to be gone, like it's going to be super, like the valuations need to raise and it's going to be super easy for marketing endeavors, SEO, whatever, right?
Yeah. And all of the companies that I work with, all the ones that have been involved, for years now, they've already established a brand and, established the way that their company works and established, all these great things, are well known in the industry, have good reputations. Those are the ones that are going to sell, for a really good amount to the next people that, in the world, which is what I think most company owners want. I think, I'm hoping we stick around for a while. That's for sure. So we'll see,
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. That being said, when it comes to, let's say someone wants to contact you, what would be the best way? Would it be LinkedIn or the website if they want to ask you something or just be connected with you?
Yeah, so you're welcome to go to my LinkedIn page. It's Kimberly Anzarut, Anzarut. And then if you want to reach out directly to me, it's kim.anzarut, Anzarut at Allay consulting.com. So yeah, happy to connect with anybody.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Kim. That was a bliss. And maybe I would love to have another one, probably in a year or 6 months when everything is changing, and maybe talk about, hey, remember what you said about the marketing and the things like that. In the industry, everything has changed, and that's the place to be. And we will have episode 1 and 2.
That'd be great. Yeah. I'm excited to see what happens. That's for sure.
Okay. Perfect, Kim. Thank you for your insights, and it was great to connect with you. So we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.